Well, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. Whoa. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the light. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Can get you out of my hand again. You're never gonna look back, 'cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change. Slowly take a step today. I will never be the same, 'cause that's what it takes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Talking Takeover. I am Old Ed Fries, and I'm joined by the one and only, the natural Astrid Pizarro. Astrid, how you doing?
I'm running a very little to no sleep. I don't know how I'm awake, but I'm ready for this. And I needed a Red Bull. I haven't had one in a while.
Oh, you have it.
How are
every
you
week
doing?
Like, you have it every week before taking over. Don't lie to the good people.
No, I don't.
We got our good friend Bobby Munson jumping in and saying, "Good evening, Astrid. How are you both doing?" We are doing well. We are trying out something new. We are using the Olay Twitter. So
Twitter.
I don't know how you interact with us on Twitter, but interact with us on there, and we'll try to help you out. But go ahead and give it a repost, a quote tweet. I don't know what you do with those things. You just do all the Twitter stuff and let us know we're doing a good job. So we are here. We are here for Takeover Fatal 4-Way. This is one of the better takeovers.
Yeah.
In the early days. So the early days of Takeover are these really weird shows where NXT was still figuring out what to do. They're like, we're still a developmental program, so we still want to put on these development matches. And trust me, we'll get to Development Hell match in a little while. But overall, this is one of their stronger shows the rest of the way. I feel like. What did you think?
Yeah, I feel like the matches, there was only one that was a downfall for me. So it was like, compared to the other one, it definitely had an improvement. It just feels weird seeing this now so many years later. And I'll talk about it, especially during the women's match a little bit later. But seeing all the changes and all the people, that's the part that feels kind of strange to watch. And it's like, yeah, I remember watching this when it was live. Yeah. But yeah, there you go.
We also have our first big jump from Take. You can't interact on Twitter, but lots of people tune in there. It worked great for Honor Rumble. Thank you very much, Bobby. We greatly appreciate it. So we were last here May 29th, 2014 for Takeover. Now, we're used to getting premium live events at a pretty steady rate. In the early days of Takeover, that was not the case. So we jumped from late May all the way to September 11th, 2014. Yep. So there's a lot of gaps that are filled in, and you realize it with the change in talent that you're going to see at the top of the show. Yep. However, one thing that doesn't change, we start with the Ascension. As we always do on NXT, we start with the Ascension. I love the Ascension. This makes me so much more angry with what happens to them coming up from here, because this is the beginning of the end of the Ascension. Mm-hmm. But you cannot tell me the Ascension was not an overact, that they weren't a great act. And this match really indictifies it. Them versus what will after the match be referred to as the Lucha Dragons, who were introduced as Cara and Kalisto. Yep. We also, other notes we have to make sure that we mention here. Our first takeover without Eden Styles. Brandy Rhodes is no longer our ring announcer. We now have JoJo Offerman doing our ring announcing. HBC bad guy saying "Mi gente."
No, oh my god, I can't believe you said it like that.
My people. It's my people.
Mi gente.
Oh, I haven't got to Hente and Duolingo. So give me a break. They haven't taught me how to say that one yet.
Well, I taught it to you. Remember that.
I'm still working on clothes. So we got JoJo, but also our commentary booth has changed. Those people. There we go. I know that one. Those people. The people. We also have our commentary booth has changed. Renee Young has now joined the commentary booth, and her and Byron Saxton caused. Oh, her and Byron Saxton. Oh my God. Okay, so here's the thing. We're going to get a little bit of a negative here right away. I don't like Renee on commentary. I never liked Renee on commentary. I think Renee is multi-talented. I think she is delightful and she can do amazing work. I think she was the best backstage interviewer they've ever had for a long time since Gene Okerlund left. She was fantastic at that. She was never good on commentary. And her and Byron Saxton are just so grating. So grating together. And poor Tom Phillips is stuck in the middle like, I have to call the match.
Yeah, baby Tom, because he doesn't look at the Tom we've seen. And then Renee with long hair definitely feels strange.
Yeah, but like I said, I love Renee. I think there's a lot of good she adds to this show. But I do think it needs to be said that her on commentary isn't the greatest thing in the world. I think she's delightful. What did you think of the match overall?
I don't know why. I loved the match, though I enjoyed it. But I don't know why I kept thinking the Ascension was going to retain the titles. I don't know what that was my mindset of like thinking, because they have been so booked so strongly to begin with that maybe that's why. So when the Lucha Dragons won, I feel like I don't know where I was like, was that right? I had to go back a couple seconds to be sure. I was not confident that was real. It's like, and that's when I started thinking, this is the beginning of the end. Yeah.
This is the beginning of the end. Sin Cara and Kalisto are so good as a tag team. Kalisto was such a he was such an innovative talent, and he works so well with the Ascension. Like we've seen him on 3 shows now for Takeover. Him and the Ascension are the only not the only talent. Outside of the main event, they're really the only talent, because the only other people we've seen on every show is Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville.
Yeah, because Tyler Breeze kind of.
Technically Tyler Breeze, but his match didn't really happen.
Sort of, kind of.
Yeah. Oh, Mojo. Mojo's been on all 3 shows.
Yeah.
Poor Mojo. We'll talk about him later. But no, I think Kalisto, there was so much that could have been done with Kalisto. There was so much that could have been done with the Ascension. But yeah, this is a great match. I think that they play up. Commentary plays up the idea that the Lucha Dragons are going to win this way too much.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, it's going to be an upset. It's going to be an upset. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is when the Lucha Dragons win.
Yeah.
And then they win. And they go up and talk to Renee. And oh boy, do we now see why the Lucha Dragons didn't succeed in WWE.
Yeah. If they would have, I feel like Kalisto, to me, if they would have done it the right way, he would have been Dragon Lee before Dragon Lee.
Yeah. I think that's what they were hoping to do. I mean, hell, he's got almost the same mask as Dragon Lee. Let's not even cut a spade a spade. Him and Dragon Lee's masks are not that different. But he doesn't cut a great promo. Sin Cara doesn't cut a great promo. But they do tell us that they are now the Lucha Dragons. And that's fine. I love this match. I love the surprise nature of the fall. I think it's great. And unfortunately, it means the beginning of the end of the Ascension. They're not gone from NXT just yet. Trust me, we're going to see them for at least another takeover or 2. But, oh man, this is where you start to feel bad for the Ascension.
You know what I did miss, though, watching this match? I miss watching Kalisto do the Salida del Sol. I definitely miss him doing that move.
Yeah, that move is so fantastic. And every time I see him do it, I always flash back to the one he does off the top of the ladder in that ladder match.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We then get an Adrian Neville promo about the Fatal 4-Way where he tells us that he asked for this match, that this was by his request that he wanted to face all 4 of these guys.
All 3.
Yeah, all 3 of these guys.
I don't think he was to face himself.
He wanted to face himself too. Well,
so it's a Fatal 5-Way then.
It's a Fatal 5-Way when you count Neville twice.
Yes.
All right, Astrid, 13 minutes, 30 seconds. Got it?
Yes.
Adrian Neville faces himself. We then get CJ Parker coming to the ring. And CJ Parker requested a match from Mr. Evil with anybody on the roster that he's not faced before or something like that. He wanted somebody different or something different. He wasn't happy with how he's been treated.
Oh, CJ.
So he gets a debuting superstar, somebody we've never seen on NXT to this point. He hadn't been on TV. He hadn't been on anything. And you think, oh, CJ's like, oh, this will be great. I'll have a nice, easy day. Unfortunately, that person that he gets debuting, and I'm trying to load a graphic here. Give me 2 seconds. Is Baron Corbin.
Yes.
The debut of Baron Corbin at NXT.
The Lone Wolf. Okay.
Yes. No entrance, jobber entrance, just a name card. He hits him with one punch. The end of days. The match takes 29 seconds, and Baron Corbin wins. And
this started one of my favorite NXT trends. The counting during his matches. I love it. I really did. That was one of my favorite. I love how it's so many like simple things, but it catches on because of what's happening within the show. So with him, for those of you that were not watching at the time, basically, right, they started the trend of like whenever Baron had a match, we would start counting down to see how long the match would last. So people were just cheering whenever he won at the end. So it was always fun to see something so simple, people just counting. But you can see the smile on his face because he knows what the people are doing. It's kind of like with Big E. It was like 3 ain't nothing, I need 5. And you keep seeing the people do 5, 5. It's like little things like that I love within the NXT audience because it catches on. And you see them, they keep it going for that certain person. We see that later with Bayley as well. Of like, Bayley's gonna hug you and things like that they just stick to you. And it's like, and I'll talk a little bit about Bayley during the match in itself, but it just makes me miss that like that kind of like all part of NXT that we don't get much anymore.
We'll get to chance in women's matches when we get to that the women's match because Sasha makes an appearance on this show with a shirt that definitely sparks discussion. But after Baron Corbin wins and we finally for the first time hear the music, because as he's making his exit, we get his biker theme music that was so fantastic. Yes. We get my favorite video package in NXT history. Tyson Kidd talking about the main event. And I'm just going to let you Tyson tell you about his 3 challengers in this match.
NXT Takeover is a fatal 4-way for the NXT Championship. One individual is the greatest high flyer in the history of this industry. Fact. One individual has the most heart and is a great innovator in that ring, something that he honed while in Japan. Fact. One individual is arrogant, self-absorbed, but he looks like $1 million and he can get away with it. Fact. One individual in this match is probably the most dangerous human walking the planet, is something that he learned while in the dungeon. Fact. And then there's Sami Zayn, Adrian Neville, and Tyler Breeze. They're in the match too. That's how I feel about my opponents at TakeOver.
Like, just come on. That is the greatest wrestling promo ever. Oh. Like, it's so simple, but so well delivered. Because the best part about this, and I can't necessarily show it, but throughout this promo when he's talking about the high flyer, they have these, like, blurred pictures of Adrian Neville. The heart, the wrestler with all the heart from Japan. And they show blurred photos of Sami Zayn. Tyler Breeze's shoes as he's talking about the arrogant, beautiful person who, gets away with it because he looks like $1 million. I just love this promo. It's so good. This is the best Tyson Kidd that we ever had. The fact error Tyson kid was chef's kiss. The crowd's chanting Natty's husband. He's like, I don't care. It's a fact. I am Natty's husband. And the fact he's like, I'm going to win this title to bring it onto Total Divas. I'm just like, oh my God, he's mentioning Total Divas in a promo. Like, what the fuck is this shit?
Well, the title will get more attention than Natty ever did on Total Divas. That's for sure.
Yeah. We then get a hair versus hair match.
Oh, gosh.
With somebody I forgot was ever in NXT. Like, I feel like I remember almost everybody who was like consistently on NXT after the network debut. I can't say to know everybody who was there before because I didn't get to see it in the Florida days. But once it comes to the network, I feel like I know everybody on the show. I remember Marcus Louis. I remember Marcus.
Yeah.
I, however, have no recollection until I saw him again of Sylvester Lefort. It's so hard with Sylvester Lefort. I can't even find pictures of him for the thumbnail.
Oh gosh, sorry. It just makes me laugh because I know not too long after like he got released, I saw him somewhere, and I don't know if it was. I don't think it would have been like an AEW or anything like that. But I saw him. He was one of those like jobber entrances, and that's the last time I ever saw him. It was like, and I remember the name because of the Lefort because I was thinking of it like in the accent. And after that, he just disappeared. I had never heard anything back about him ever since that. But I did want to point out, though, this is the introduction to Carmella as the hairdresser, and this is when she loses her job and she has to become a wrestler. So this is the start of that. Like, you can see her in the corner there. So, and this just makes me think so much of, like, what Enzo and Cass could have been on the main roster because they're so great together on the mic to the point that I even did the intro with them as it was happening. Just like, and you can teach that. And I was like, damn it, they got me again. I really did.
SAWFT. That's not how you spell soft.
I remember the chant too. That's how you spell it. But it just reminded me how fun they were in the ring and how they had the audience in the palm of their hands. And I was like, this is what I was hoping for them in the main roster. And it was like, it just like, they barely lasted and they just want to put them against each other. And I was like, no, they were so fine together. Like, Enzo could talk and he will carry like Cass in that sense of it too. It was like, he had the crowd in such a way and such a fun energy that I feel like a lot of people don't get to have. And I was so like disappointed thinking of like, well, that's not where they are at now. So that was pretty interesting. But it made me miss that, like the whole introduction they used to do on the way to the ring. It's just one of those things that, yeah, I definitely missed that part. The match in itself, I feel like there's not much to it though. We get Marcus being a distraction, and Marcus and Cass are having at it outside with each other, and then all of a sudden just Enzo wins, and it was so like quick and random. It's very unexpected the way it happens. But I know obviously Enzo was going to win it, but the win in itself is just unexpected.
Yeah, it was. It's not a letdown. It wasn't a great match, but it wasn't necessarily a letdown.
Mm-hmm.
And in me, it brought back all those wonderful memories of Enzo and Cass.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where they had it, and the Dudleys even gave them the opportunity. They're like, the Dudleys were like, we want them at MSG for the debut on the main roster. You know, they were like, no, we need them to come out and interrupt us. And then Stefan runs away instead of getting his hair cut, which I always hate. I always hate when the heel's like, no, I have to leave. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Enzo cuts a Michaels promo on Raw. It was. I mean, Enzo, for all the things that he is and isn't, and Enzo is a character beyond anything else. And he had the world at his fingertips, and you know, some you win, some you lose. Hopefully, Real One is doing well. I know I posted this in Our Local Establishment group earlier today. There's an indie show coming with like a bunch of just like random guests of people that are going to be on the show, and one of them is Real One. And I'm half tempted to go. Because he's such an interesting character and a
I
part
think
of NXT.
the lineup is funny though because it's just a bunch of legends, and then I see people
Yeah.
from the past, and then I see at the bottom Delmy.
No.
She's
All right,
one of the only like current ones.
I wasn't going to bring up the whole thing, but now that we've talked about it, I'm going to bring up the whole list. It's gonna be
I was like, okay, Hall of Famer. I was like, okay, past superstar, Hall of Famer. All these people. I was
Matt
like,
Riddle.
Delmy.
Matt Riddle from that.
Yeah, and
so
then
the
Matt
list-
Riddle, F him, but
Eric Bischoff, RVD, Elijah, formerly known as Elias, a WWE Hall of Famer Barry Windham, about to be a two-time Hall of Famer, Matt Riddle, Brooke Tessmacher, Real One, formerly known as Enzo Amore, The Franchise, Shane Douglas, Francine, The Sandman, Christy Hemme, Gangrel, Sabu, Bill Alfonso, the guy with the microphone, the whistle that was the manager for Sabu back in the day. The British Bulldog Experience. And then Delmy Exo and Brett Azar.
I like how Delmy's one of the only like current people in that whole thing. It's just so funny to be just seeing that whole lineup.
So fucking weird. Just so fucking weird. Like, what the hell is that show?
Mm-hmm.
I agree it'll be fun. I agree it'll be fun. But I mean, like, I'm already spent a decent amount of money to go to Cold Fury on Friday night, where I'm going to get to see real good wrestling. And I really don't know if I want to.
Sorry,
all the way
Delmy.
to Springfield
It's nothing against you. It's everybody else.
It's not against Delmy. But like
I just want to clarify
card,
that. Nothing against Delmy.
Delmy's fantastic. I
Yes.
think literally Delmy would be one of the few things to get me in that door. Would be the fact that I get to see Delmy Exo wrestle.
Yeah,
Because that is on my list of independent women that I have to see wrestle. Delmy Exo, Zeta Steel. Speaking of Zeta Steel, now that we're done talking about Enzo and Cass, because there really is nothing else to talk about with Enzo and Cass, other than Enzo and Cass. Ashley, you did an interview with Zeta Steel that released today.
Yay! Yeah, I did.
So tell us about the clip that I'm about to play.
Well, it was your question, ironically, from the community questions, talking about the brats, and I figured Paris and Shannon may want to see her words, so that's why I asked her about it. So yeah, how have you enjoyed working with the brats, which is Paris Vendel and Shannon Levangie?
The brats. Ooh, I like to say I'm like the third honorary like member of the brats, but I've worked Shannon numerous times. I love wrestling Shannon, but I think I love working with her better because that girl can go. She is so sweet. She is a star. She works hard. Paris, I don't know much about Paris, but she's a bad bitch. So all of us together, like, hey, we run Wrestling Open. We lose majority of our matches, but hey, you are entertained. Brats for life.
And the second question.
They do indeed lose a lot on Wrestling Open. If you want to see more of Wrestling Open, of Zeta Steel, one of the things that I can do, because I finally have the service, so I finally really tout this, IWTV. If you're interested in watching professional independent wrestling from everywhere, $10 a month for IWTV is a sensational deal. Zeta, this interview, Asher, by the way, this interview was fantastic. I actually learned a lot about Zeta Steel because she's somebody I wasn't too familiar with, other than her work on Wrestling Open. Yep, she's getting MLW work that is part of the conversation. So definitely go ahead and check out the interview. After Marcus Louis gets the bucket dumped on his head because Sylvester Lefort ran away, we get a Tyler Breeze promo where he talks about being in the match.
And then here,
I was gonna say, this isn't the point where we have the backstage girls.
yeah, we have Dasha and Dana in this one. I can't recognize the other girl giving him the massage though. But the other two, yeah, they were him with the coats, and I think they just told him to go away. But you can see quickly Dana and Dasha. So
I thought it was Dana, but this is the first Dana. This isn't Ash by Excellence Dana. I'm telling you, this is other Dana Brooke.
This is the original one.
We then get William Regal being introduced into the ring. And here becomes the biggest talking point of this entire show. Because they say a lot of big things in this promo package, where they talk about this being the biggest international signing in WWE history. That's a big claim. And this is all to introduce Kenta. Kenta comes out in a great, by the way, great video package. Hulk Hogan talking about how great Kenta is. I don't think he knew who the fuck Kenta was.
I was about to say that's the thing I was thinking about. Does he even know who he's talking about? Because I don't think he does. That's my question for that one.
Yeah, we also had Renee talking about Kenta. Kofi Kingston telling us that all real wrestling fans know who Kenta is, which made me feel bad looking back, going, I had no idea who this man was. I was not yet watching Japanese wrestling at this point, but he comes out and he delivers a great promo in Japanese. And this definitely did not endear him to the Full Sail crowd that much. They were very confused. However, he then starts talking in English again, tells us about how this is a dream of his, how he's going to be taking on a bit of a name based off of one of his heroes. And the name means bring the pain. Heido Itami. And that's how NXT will now forever look at him. For those that don't remember Heido Itami, he was here for 5 years. He worked mostly in NXT, and he worked a little bit in the Cruiserweight division on 205 Live before he was asked for and granted his release to go back to Japan. Before he came here, he was named as Kenta Kobashi. Now he just goes by Kenta. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world, still to this day in my mind. Slightly overrated, but he's still in that discussion as being one of the better wrestlers in the world. He's gotten a little lazy being in Bullet Club, I'll be honest. He's gotten a little lazy being in Bullet Club. But yeah, I still want to see that. I still want to see that CM Punk versus Kenta match. I still think that match would make some money.
Yeah, but I was gonna say Kenta, Hideo. I prefer Kenta. Sorry, I do feel bad. I do feel bad in that sense of it, because when you think about, if you were to put them separately, Kenta is like a whole different person from who Hideo is. So if you were to tell me they're different people, I would believe you, because they're not related in any way, shape, or form. I thought it was funny though, because watching this video made me think of the fact that his children went to the same elementary school as my younger sister. So every time there was a graduation or a big event or anything like that, I just saw him and I was like, that feels so weird, because I see him on TV and then I see him in real life, and then I'm still trying to say anything because it's a family gathering. But I he was there very often with the kids. It was always nice to see, and that's a good thing about him being there in Florida,
though. Michael Richard Blaze told us an enhancement talent used against Hideo in NXT. Told us how hard Hideo was one of the hardest kicks he'd experienced in his 20 years. Yeah, there's multiple wrestlers when he left who were like, look, I'm going to miss you, buddy, but those kicks I'm not going to miss. No, he was indeed a hard kicker. He definitely lived that strong style lifestyle. However, while I don't think he ever lived up to being the biggest international signing in WWE history, I would say that he was a pivotal piece in what WWE is now with international wrestlers. And I think his biggest problem was that he got injured at the worst possible times every time. Because there were multiple times where it felt like they were ready to go with him for the NXT championship, and then he got hurt.
Yeah.
However, after Kenta signs, I started thinking, and I started listing some of the names of some of the Japanese, Chinese, Singaporean talent that I could think of that WWE had signed. And I talked with Astrid a little bit about this, and we came up with a list. Asuka, Shinsuke Nakamura, Kairi Sane, Io Shirai. I hate to throw them on this list. Boa, Xia Li, Saray, Akira Tozawa, Dante Chen. We also have Miko Satomura, who was from the Mae Young Classic, former NXT UK Women's Champion. And then we have two people who participated in WWE tournaments that involved talent that they didn't have signed to them. Zeta was part of the female Mae Young Classic. And of course, nobody will forget Kota Ibushi, the man who didn't know he was shaking Vince McMahon's hand. That's a big list of names, especially right now, thinking about it right now. Asuka in a big-time storyline with Damage Control. Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, all part of that same storyline. Shinsuke Nakamura just came off the Cody Rhodes feud. Before that, came off the Seth Rollins feud. Akira Tozawa was one of the best parts of the Alpha Academy storyline going on right now. I love Akira Tozawa.
Yeah.
Dante Chen, Boa, Xia Li, they were all relatively okay in NXT. I give Boa a hard time, but you know, they're still young talents who can do a lot. Saray, she didn't work here in NXT, but now she's back across the pond again, back in the land of the rising sun. Hope that will revitalize her career. Without Kenta, I don't think we get Asuka. I don't think we get Nakamura. I don't think that partnership, like I understand WWE been signing and working with Japanese talents for years, but those are big name Japanese talent that I don't think would have come over if Kenta hadn't made the signing. So yes and no. Was he the biggest international signing WWE's ever had? Not him specifically, but because they signed him, they helped sign people who are going to be bigger pieces of the party in the future.
Yeah, the way I can think about it, it's almost like he was that little platform to like boost up the rest of them in that way. And that's how I see it. It's like you're the one that get that boost for all these people to get here. And he was, I don't want to say in a bad time, but it just like injuries were terrible timing for him. But then, as we can see, the talent keeps growing, and then Triple H it's in charge of NXT, so he makes sure that people like Nakamura and Asuka get highlighted very well. Same thing with Io Shirai, so he doesn't let that, like what their background is, be a part of their failure. He pushes them in the way that he can, and you can see that happening, and you can even see that like translating out with Damage Control as well. So it's just nice to see that this is basically like how it catapulted to like that international talent coming over. And who knows, maybe people like, for example, like a Finn Balor, who is friends with Nakamura, with Kenta, was also an influence and a bridge in that aspect as well, and helped it out in the end too.
Yeah. In this promo he's giving, he's interrupted by the Ascension who come out and they push him. They punch him, they kick him, they push him out of the ring. And they start trying to get a new match with Regal for the NXT Tag Team titles right now. They don't want to wait. They want the rematch now. And then Kenta comes in, and I remember myself saying just a couple days ago when I was rewatching this again, don't mess with the man with the skinny tie. Because he got this itty bitty skinny tie. And I'm like, oh God, he's gonna kick their ass. And he does. He absolutely kicks both of their asses. It's so hard. I feel bad for Kenta because he said in numerous interviews that the time of WWE was, in his words, the most frustrating 5 years of his entire life. And I feel bad because, like, obviously it's you don't want anybody to be that unhappy at their job. Like, that's just not fun. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like they gave him a couple opportunities, and like I said, I think the injuries made it so that it was hard for people who had the talent and had the power to continue giving him the opportunities after he kept getting hurt every time they were getting ready to go with him. You know what I mean? And it's sad, but that's sometimes what happens. You know, he bad breaks sometimes happen. Obviously hasn't derailed his career. He went back to Japan. He's having great luck being in the Bullet Club. He's working with a Bullet Club ABC over in TNA mostly. I don't think he comes over to AEW to work with Bullet Club Gold.
I think did he show up in AEW? I think once maybe, and then
maybe
but
once, but
it's mostly been TNA with ABC. But ABC keeps kind of removing themselves a little bit more from the Bullet Club, so who knows at this point.
We then move on to the piss break of the night. Bull Dempsey versus Mojo Rawley. Okay, so WWE really wanted to make Bull Dempsey something. And they failed miserably. I don't think I never got into Bull Dempsey. I don't know about you. You were watching NXT really, really hard at this point. You were local. You were involved. Bull Dempsey. Were you ever really into him?
To me, it just like I didn't like him more like the way they're playing him off here, like the badass kind of guy, and like the big guy. I think he looked better to me towards the end when he was more like a baby face and people were actually chanting for his theme song. I cannot say I think that I was really a fan of his. I was like, okay, either way with him, no matter what he was. But to me, I feel like he kind of had a better connection with the audience when he was a face. And people get chanting like, bull, bull, like towards the end, like his entrance, for example. But that I like right now, when he's starting off with this, no. Don't forget you're muted.
Millie Rose, thank you for the sub on Twitch. We greatly appreciate the support. That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Millie.
You'll now have ad-free moments, so you don't have to wait for an ad to end when me and Ashley talk about women's matches. Because I'll never forget. She's like, I'm going to tell you, but I'm about to see an ad, so I want to wait to get your guys' response.
Yeah.
Hi. Thank you again for your support. We then get the backstage segment with Enzo Amore and Big Cass, or Colin Cassidy, as he's still known at this point. He is not quite yet Big Cass. Looking for Sylvester Lefort, looking for Marcus Louis. Sylvester Lefort sees them and runs away again. It happens one time. Yes, but some of those one-time things are the things that people like us remember. But hey, at least we remember who you are, which is the important thing. They find Marcus Louis, and I'm just gonna. They bring him to the ring. And I'm just gonna let the show speak for itself. You know, I'm just gonna let the show speak for itself.
Oh! No! No! He doesn't have eyebrows anymore. That's not that bad. He's like a chia pet. Are you crazy? It looks like quasi.
Oh. So somebody let Vince McMahon in the room when they wrote that. I guarantee it.
That is one of the few times that I just think of, did they find this funny? Because I didn't.
Yeah. I get it. Okay, he looks weird. That's fine. But like, we couldn't have done this as a digital exclusive.
No, apparently not.
The worst part is he wasn't in the match. I will repeat this. He's not the person who's supposed to lose his hair.
Yeah.
We get a video package for Bayley versus Charlotte. As we go ahead and head to the women's main event, or the only women's match on this show. How do you feel? We have, 6 matches on this show? And we have one women's match again. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. But just like at least the match, I don't want to say it's long, but it has a little bit of time compared to a lot of the other matches. I think obviously the only match that's longer than it will be the main event. So I feel like it's not bad because they're getting good timing. And again, we had to think about the fact that this is still developmental. Like this is Charlotte and Bayley has experience at this point a little bit, but Charlotte is just starting off. So they're getting them used to this and getting them used to the audience and what they're doing in WWE. So it makes sense for them not to have a lot of time as well. So I'm really not like mad about it, to put it like that.
Now, do you agree with Zeta Steele that even the Green Girls need more in-ring time to go ahead and get better?
Yeah, why not? You gotta practice.
And if you want to know what we're talking about, go watch the interview on bodyslam.net's YouTube channel. At this point, Charlotte Flair is still doing. I'm replaying the match as we do this. Charlotte Flair is still doing the full roll, like the full back roll.
I missed that. Yeah.
I do too. I really do miss that entrance. I thought it was really good.
And even like thinking about the entrances, like I know people evolve and change and characters evolve. Like I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it made me realize how much I missed her doing that entrance and Bayley doing her entrance and like doing that, like the high fives with the people and like the dancing and things like that. Because even I made my dad do it anytime he came with me. So it definitely missed those type of moments of like that you get with the audience that you don't get with, like, for example, with Bayley right now. I know she's obviously on her way to like being like another different type of baby face, but again, the music I miss it, her and that, and even the chance for her, because if you notice throughout this match, even with Charlotte being a heel, like she has the crowd. It's all Bayley. Even when Charlotte wins the match at the end, spoiler, but when Charlotte wins the match at the end, you hear a couple of woos here and there because people want to copy her, but not because they're cheering for her, if that makes sense. It's always like Bayley this and Bayley that, and people are like, it's quiet at first a little for a couple of seconds when she wins because Bayley has the crowd in this. And I love her connection to the crowd. You can see that from the beginning here, with especially with this character, in such a way, giving the little girls their headbands and the music and all that stuff. And just, I feel like you don't get that often.
Yeah, this is early Charlotte, very very early Charlotte. She still has that fun entrance. I really adore it. It is my favorite Charlotte. It's also my favorite Charlotte theme music because she's got new music. But this is that remixed version of her dad's theme that's just so good for her.
Yeah, it fits.
Again, still WWE not quite sure how they're dipping their toes in the Flair pool. They call her Charlotte. They don't call her Charlotte Flair.
Yeah.
But the last time we were here, they had Ric Flair out there the whole time. She's doing the chops. She's getting the woos. Like, everything's still Charlotte Flair, but there's just no Flair name because WWE wasn't quite sure they're ready to go there just yet with her. This match is fantastic. Like, this match is just great. 10 minutes, 40 seconds of these girls just going hell to leather. They work so well together. I watched this match back knowing Bayley doesn't win this title until she loses it to Asuka. Like, I remember she wins it and then loses it not too long after to Asuka. And I'm like, I know Asuka's a way off at this point. I still got caught up in the near falls for Bayley to win this championship here.
Yes, me too. I kept thinking, like, I knew Charlotte was retaining, but the way they deliver the match, it kind of gives you that hope that Bayley's gonna win it. And it just, the only thing I don't like from Charlotte's like moveset during this, and when she does the headlock and she pushes their head on the mat and such in that way, that's such like a diva kind of move from the video game, and I hate that move so much. When they just put they wrap their legs on their head and they just slam your head on the canvas, it's like, no, I hate that move so much. But it makes me miss the old Charlotte and the way she used to move, because she doesn't do a lot of these moves right now. And obviously it goes back to what I said, people evolve, the characters change. But seeing her here, we start with, like, Bayley's is trying to be a little bit aggressive, but it's to the point that Charlotte comes in here, takes over in such a way that Bayley can barely do anything, but the crowd is still behind her whenever it happens. But I miss a lot of the Charlotte moves that she's doing in this match.
This generation of NXT, it's the reason why we're going back and doing this show, is because there's something special about these early days of NXT before they. So people talk about the generations of NXT, and there's NXT pre-network, which is everything that happened in the Florida group. And the only people who really know about it is the people in Florida. It's the Seth Rollins, the Big E's, the Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's son. Like, there's that phase of NXT that's part of that generation. Yeah. Then there's Arrival, and that changes things. We have the network era, where now everybody has access to NXT. But they still don't quite know what they're doing with their product yet. They still developmental first. They're still making sure that they try to get developmental people on these big shows. Like, you could make a case that you don't need to see developmental talent on these shows, and that you just focus the week-to-week stuff with some of the developmental talent and make sure that the bigger stuff ends up on these shows. They're like, no, it's okay. We'll throw some of these developmental talents on it. We're about to see the influx of the biggest stuff, because we're not too far away from a couple takeovers from now, the debut of Kevin Owens. And that starts to begin the next shift.
Yep.
The moment Kevin Owens gets here, that starts to transfer into black and gold.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the black and gold era, which lasts, depending who you ask, there's the golden age and the silver age of that era. And it widely says that it ends right around Shinsuke Nakamura's to Samoa Joe period, ends the golden age of black and gold. And then you have the Samoa Joes and the Robert Roods. And then you get to the DIYs and the Adam Coles. And then you get to NXT 2.0, which is widely considered to be the dark times. But no, there's definitely this shift. And the reason why I wanted to do this show and why when I talked to Astrid about it, I'm like, we should do it. As the people on this channel who review NXT week in, week out, we talk about how we miss certain things and how there are certain things where, like, we go back to it and this is what we miss about NXT. Why not just go back and talk about the things that we miss? Talk about these shows and these matches. Because like you said, you've never seen on television Sasha versus Bayley.
No.
You've never seen is it the Iron Woman match, or is it the one from New York? Oh, it's the Iron Woman.
The Iron Woman.
Is the other one? Obviously, you didn't go to New York to watch the match.
No.
Okay. I disagree. I understand what you're saying, and yes, there's a special place in all of our hearts for black and gold. But this crop of talent right now is giving us a resurgence to give us the best version of WWE's NXT that we've ever gotten. Because NXT Black and Gold more resembles the best indie promotions you'll ever see. Because it's chock full of indie talent who are just trying to figure out the WWE style. Whereas the talent that are there now, they're no longer in NXT just to develop the skills to go to main roster. They're there to promote NXT, to be NXT, and to get to the next level so that when they go to the main roster, we don't have that waiting period where we have NXT failure after NXT failure after NXT failure. Black and Gold was so great, but it didn't translate to the grander audience of WWE. NXT does a very good job now of building that bridge. Think about it. Right now, we have Austin Theory doing very well. Grayson Waller doing very well. No, they're not winning matches, but they're in big segments, in big spots, being treated like big stars. Tiffany Stratton just got called up. She is in, she's working with Naomi week in, week. She's working with Bianca Belair. She's being positioned to be a big star. She got the big spot at Elimination Chamber to really be in there a while and to showcase who she is. Carmelo Hayes is coming up in the near future. He's not going to be a failure for NXT. Triple H loves him as much as Shawn Michaels loves him. He is going to be a success story on the main roster.
Yep.
Trick Williams is going to be a success on the main roster. He has the crowd in the palm of his hand. There is talent on this group of NXT that will do better than any other NXT group. Because with the exception of Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, those are really the big names from the early days of NXT that really translated to the main roster. And that was Black and Gold. And again, this is more because Vince McMahon did things than it is that they just couldn't do it. But at the same time, it's hard to say that with the crossover, you can't do it.
Because I was going to say, I must say not disagree with you, but to add like a bullet point to that point as well, it's just the fact that I feel like now we have a better connection in this aspect. Triple H knows the NXT talent. So he's not coming here and basically starting them from scratch, because a lot of the times they will forget about conveniently what happened in NXT and start the person all over again. And at the point we're like, what happened? This is not what we were watching before. And it goes back to that Vince McMahon probably not watching the product versus that we have the aspect of like, these are Triple H and Shawn Michaels as kids. So it's like, even with Triple H not being there, he knows who they are. He knows their names. So he knows the storylines that are going on. So they could easily translate to the main roster, which is, I think, one of the biggest factors now to this crop of NXT superstars. Like you said, like a Carmelo, like a Tiffany, Grace, and Austin. They have that added benefit to it that Triple H has a connection with them. And Triple H is not going to be like, oh, let's say, for example, when Carmelo and Trick go to the main roster, we're just going to act like they didn't beat up each other and have them be best friends again. Because that's something McMahon would have done. He would have erased that whole NXT history they had towards the end and just skipped it and just put them back together. We'll be like, what is going on here? Versus Triple H.
We can put them back together again.
Oh, no, we can't. I'm not saying we cannot do it, but like Vince will conveniently forget that story, though. And I feel like Triple H won't.
You mean when he brought up DIY as a tag team after they had a non-sanctioned match? Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like there's not that story there, the history there will not be forgotten. Yeah, they can make their way back in and become a tag team eventually. We will not mind that. But at the same time, they're not going to forget about the story that's happening now when they jump into the main roster. So it's like, it's those things that I feel like we have that continuity that we have now between NXT and the main roster that I feel like we didn't have before. And that's another added benefit to that Triple H and Shawn Michaels working relationship in NXT. And I feel like it helps a lot better this like newer crop of talent than way before.
Oh, I agree. Like I said, I understand that the almost 90% of the reason why the NXT talents didn't succeed was because of Vince. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
And Millie Rose, the NXT universe never forgets, which is why they choose black and gold during Survivor. That Survivor series is fantastic. There are some.
That's one of my favorite ones.
Keith Lee getting the moment with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Oh my God. The night that Gunther got pinned that everybody forgets about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back in the time period where we didn't want anyone to move up because we knew they'd get instantly buried. Yeah. Where we would hold on to them and pray and hold. And as soon as we heard you got called up, you're like, no, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Bayley and Charlotte. Sorry, I just looked at my TV screen and Sasha just came wandering out.
Yeah.
Bayley and Charlotte have a fantastic match here. Bayley puts up such a good fight. And there's a couple of times where I really, like I said earlier, I really thought she was going to win. Like, there's nothing. This match doesn't scream overdone. There's no moments where you're like, oh my God, this happened. This is just a super solid, well-told story of Bayley not giving up, of Bayley trying to prove herself, because she's just the hugger at this point. And she keeps losing in all the big moments. And they don't. Ironically, they're telling the Bayley story at the same time they're going to start telling the Sami Zayn story of Sami Zayn being this lovable loser that always loses in the big moments. They're telling these same stories side by side, and nobody thinks anything of it at the time.
Yeah.
Which I think is funny. But out comes Sasha Banks. She goes ahead and tries to beat up Bayley because Bayley beat her in the tournament to get this opportunity at Charlotte. And so... And her and Charlotte used to be friends as part of the, what was it called?
Was it? You mean
their group? Her, Summer, and Sasha had a group.
It was a BFFs, wasn't it? I thought it was.
There we go. That's the name. Okay.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what it was. The only name that kept coming to my mind was Submission Sorority. I know that's
wasn't it? One. No, wasn't it Beautiful Fierce Females or something like that?
Yeah, BFFs. Yeah. It was. You're right. Yeah. I couldn't think. Like I said, the only thing I could think of was Submission Sorority. I know that's the wrong one. That's the one they tried to name her, Paige, Charlotte, and Becky. And then they realized what it was, and they realized they couldn't do that.
And then PCB is born.
Yes, PCB, because they had no other backup plan. So she starts beating up Bayley. Charlotte comes out and throws Sasha off because Bayley's earned her respect. Bayley's earned Charlotte's respect in this match. However, Sasha is wearing the shirt that spawned 1,000 chants. And as a person who didn't understand what was going on beforehand, because this BFFs thing and the Sasha chant started before I was watching. Explain to me why this Florida crowd would call Sasha ratchet.
I remember And that's for me. I don't remember where it started. I just remember going there and just hearing the chant. I'm like, I don't know what caused it and what continued it, but I did like how she would react to it during the match because she would like cover her ears every time the crowd chanted it, and I did like those moments of like. Then the crowd kind of divided. It's like Sasha's match, and be like, "No, she's not." And it feels like we were kind of like singing back and forth during the match. And it's like I don't know what started it, but it's just one of those things like again that I enjoy and miss from the NXT audience. It's like those kind of unique chants that we would do for the superstars, and there's like only like it's something like only they will get it. Like if she probably heard it now, she'll be like, "Well, like that happened that was like so long ago," but that's what usually we would get in NXT.
It was it was a mishearing, just caught off if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was somebody. So I'm not going to go into some of the more colorful versions of this, but I will say that it's an undesirable behavior is the best definition I heard for if somebody behaves ratchet. What does it mean? And the only reason I bring it up is because she's wearing the shirt that says "I'm not ratchet," and it's one of those chants that I remember from the early days of NXT, like you said, where she'd hear it and she'd freak out. Like Kane with May 27th or whatever it was, May 19th.
May 19th.
Yeah. The one that where See No Evil came out.
But like you said, I kept thinking of this is why also what we're doing the series is like for me, I had been to a few of these tapings and I've been to like a takeover or two. I've been to live events before in the area around this time. So whenever I was there, I did not watch it on the network. So like you said, seeing like when Finn Balor debuts, I did not see that on the network. I was just there for it. And like the Iron Woman match, I was there for it. So I didn't see it. So this is the first time for me seeing this so many years later and see if I can spot myself in the crowd somehow, which I don't think I would.
I'm literally imagining this talking about it. It's taking me back. Hey, depending on where you are, if you're in the Canada area, the WWE Network, soon to be Netflix come next year. If you're in the States, Peacock. It's hard to find. You got to really search for it. Yeah. You can find Takeover if you're looking. We get a promo package for Sami Zayn. Oh.
No, I was going to say, you froze on me. For me, it's like when you go look it up and it says every Takeover ever. And when I look at it, it says season 1, episode whatever. And I'm like, that feels so weird to listen that way. And I had to look at the thumbnails to realize it was on the card and which one I'm watching.
Yeah, they definitely don't list them out very well for Arrival and stuff like that. We get a promo from Sami Zayn about the main event, and then we have the main event. Millie also says, "I didn't watch a lot till a few years later because of how buggy the network was back then." I hear you on that one. The network had its teething issues in the early days, but it was a life breath to me to be able to watch back some of this stuff, to go back and watch the things I watched as a child, WrestleMania 9, WrestleMania 10, the WrestleMania that I went to live, WrestleMania 13. Like there are these moments that, you know, I got to see and be a part of that I get to go back and watch. We've already talked about the wonderful thing of little Ed getting to touch the Rock.
You went to 13, I went to 24. No, 25, I think it was.
I think it's 13. Austin versus Michaels.
I wouldn't know. I wasn't watching.
Yes, we're going to have to talk about those matches too at some point. But we get this main event between Tyler Breeze, Tyson Kidd, Sami Zayn, and Adrian Neville. Astrid, your thoughts on this main event?
I did like the moment. I'll point out the moments that I enjoyed from it. I did like how we had Tyler Breeze and Tyson Kidd teaming up for a little bit of this match, first suplexing Neville towards the top of the entrance, and then doing it to Sami Zayn at the ramp. And then you keep noticing the trend of like, especially Tyson Kidd, but them keeping Neville outside of the ring, thinking we'll get him the champion somehow if we keep him out. So every time you think he's going to step back in, he actually doesn't. So I like how I always think about it this way. When I see a match in WWE, when the person's out for too long, they're probably going to win the match. And that happens in this one. It happens quite often, not 100% of the time, but it happens quite often in WWE. Whoever you see outside, just like resting in the corner for way too long, that's probably your person. I'm telling you right now. But I did like those bits and pieces. And then we have Tyson just taking out Breeze when he does. It's like after the 18th, it's like, no, now it's my turn. I'll take you out. And then we have those moments between Tyson and Sami. And I love how you get those moments when you think of like a Sami almost winning it and how the crowd is so behind him when he does. Anytime you think it's like that little bit of moment of like, yeah, he's gonna get it. And then the crowd is so behind him during the whole time. And like you said, thinking back of like we get the hint of Neville's heel turn because he takes out the referee when Sami's close to winning the championship, and the way they just look at each other and just like, we had that moment that it's coming soon. And then Neville retaining the championship at the end. But again, this goes again to this type of match. And again, it goes to what we love about NXT. Whenever we have a multi-person match, we love how there's always some action going on. It's rarely a time when there was any kind of. I don't think in this match we ever had like a moment that was so like quiet. There was always something happening, and there was always somebody outside as well from getting attacked before too. But I enjoy the action during this match, and it just made me think. And my brother said, "This is what my brother looked at me while I was watching. He goes, this is what he goes. You can win the big one, Sami." So this is when that starts.
Yeah, we start getting to that point here. I love how everybody gets their moments here. Like it feels like everybody's going to win at some point, especially Tyler. Tyler gets this really, really great near fall sequence where he gives the beauty shot to one guy, or as Cody Rhodes calls it, the disaster kick. He goes ahead and gives the supermodel kick to Tyson Kidd to knock him down. He goes ahead and throws one of the guys out of the ring. He goes ahead and pins one. He doesn't get the pinfall. He jumps over to the other guy. Like typical heel, taking advantage of anything he can. He'll pin anybody. He don't care. He just wants to win. Because the story going into this is that Sami wants to pin Neville. He wants to beat the champion. He doesn't want to win this by beating somebody else. He wants to beat the champion. They talk about the tag match that they had the night that week previously on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Where we talk about how NXT talent got a Raw tag team match. Like that was really big for them back then.
Mm-hmm.
Putting them on the big stage, putting them on Raw, letting them go at it. The friendship that seems to form, the working relationship between Tyler Breeze and Tyson Kidd in this match is great. You know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend until I need to pin the other guy, and then my friend becomes my enemy again.
Yeah.
But then you're right. You have that moment where Sami gets rid of Neville. And then he goes ahead and he hits the exploder suplex on Breeze, and Breeze goes out of the ring. And Tyson's in the corner, and he goes ahead and hits the haluva kick. And he gets him, and he's 1, 2. And then the ref gets pulled out, and Neville's just looking. And Sami's just looking. And they just look at each other. And Sami's like, but I won. And Neville's just like, nope. And then they get in there, and Sami gets one more move on Tyson Kidd, gets chucked to the outside by Adrian Neville. Neville goes up and hits the red arrow, which, by the way, is still one of the most beautiful moves I've ever seen in the world, Chef's Kiss.
Yes.
Millie's beating us to the punch. I decided to save it for the end of the show. I wonder what all 4 of these guys are up to these days. It's funny you should mention that. So we like to do this every takeover. We talk about where people are now. We've talked about the Lucha Dragons. We talked about Konnor and Viktor. We've talked about Kalisto and Sin Cara. We all know where they are. Kalisto is now working with, I believe he's working with CMLL or AAA.
Yeah, he's been in AW for a few times, but his name is Samurai del Sol instead of obviously Kalisto.
Yeah, I know that Sin Cara is now back to being Mystico, and he's working with definitely CMLL because they have that connection with MLW, where he is, if I remember correctly, and Bobby, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe he is now the new light heavyweight champion.
Yeah, he won that one. I think they also have that relationship with AEW as well.
Yep. CJ Parker, we've talked about where he is. Baron Corbin is now NXT Tag Team Champion. With Braun Breaker, he is being prominently featured on NXT once again. 10 plus years later, he's back on NXT being featured as a champion. Yeah. We got Charlotte Flair. We all know where she is. She is currently injured, but she is an 12-time world champion, I believe it is now. Dean Muhadi, better known as Mojo Rawley, is now back to doing nothing in the wrestling business. I believe he's out of the wrestling business now.
Yeah, from what I've seen, I know he's doing things with like hanging out with the girls here and there because he's very close to some of the girls.
Yeah, let's put it this way. There's nothing on his Wikipedia that says where he is or what he's doing. So he got married to Gracie Tracy is her name. Wow, that's a weird name. All right. I mean, Dean Mahadi, so I mean, take it what it is. They got married in Italy. Good for them. Bull Dempsey. Bull Dempsey is no longer working in the wrestling business as well. He last worked in Ring of Honor in 2016 after being released from NXT. Yeah, it's nothing good there. He made it. He faced Ring of Honor World Champion Adam Cole at one point. He then teamed up with Mr. Wrestling 3, losing to BJ Whitmer in Punishment Martinez.
I wonder who that is.
I believe he might be carrying a briefcase now.
I don't know.
And then he also, in his last match with Ring of Honor, lost to Silas Young, and he's done nothing else, according to Wikipedia, since then. And then, of course, we get to our main event. Well, Bayley is going to be featured on one of the nights of WrestleMania, challenging Io Shirai for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. I don't know what they call it now. What do I call it? Io Shirai? Whatever.
Yeah. Same thing.
No. You should not stop throwing this into the plan.
No.
This is something we were planning to do. We're at the end of the show anyways. It's fine, is what we were planning on doing. It was just it was a nice little setup to it. Bull Dempsey.
It was a good swerve. Is it swerve? No, not a swerve. What's it called?
Not a swerve.
I forgot the name of it. No, we had another name for it.
Segway!
There you go, Segway. That's what I was thinking. I bilingual brain cannot think of it, okay?
Sami Zayn is currently on the Raw brand, going ahead and doing not much of anything on his way to WrestleMania. I don't believe he's going to have a spot in WrestleMania this year.
Well, he's in the Intercontinental Gauntlet tonight.
Yeah, he's not going to win that.
Yeah, but he's still doing something.
Gable, I believe at this point, Gable will have already won or will be winning. So we're just going to. I'm just going to pencil Gable into the match and just leave it at that. Tyson Kidd is working backstage, producing most of the women's matches in WWE on the main roster, doing a fantastic job. He's doing a fantastic job helping these women wrestle. Not that they need his help, but he's just a great stabilizing force for them. Yeah. With Finlay not being on the main roster helping out as much anymore, it's so great that they have somebody like Tyson Kidd who can do that job to produce these matches. Tyler Breeze working with Up, Up, Down, Down, making sporadic appearances on the indies, like in Florida this weekend, where he just popped up with Haley Cameron, knock off Nikita Lyons.
No, she's not. That's Ian Quinn's wife. If you don't remember.
Okay, that's nice.
No,
you still knock off Nikita.
Well, to give her a credit, she's a singer too. So she sings with Shotzi and Scarlett, and she did the iconic theme song when they were in TNA. So that's.
I mean, Nikita's a singer too. She sings her own theme song.
No, we're not going there.
And then of course Adrian Neville, the bastard Pac, just resurfaced in AEW. He just resurfaced in AEW at Revolution, if I remember correctly. Announcing that he's going to be back from injury soon.
Yeah.
I keep up with what goes on in AEW. I don't watch it, but I keep up with it. I have to know. Although it is funny, I'll do this online now because we're here. We got some people on Twitter and they can make fun of me. I saw the big poster picture that AEW and Ring of Honor put out for Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor coming up, where they have a picture of all their champions on it. And I've been watching Ring of Honor since we had Honor Ramble start on our network. I've gone ahead and watched Ring of Honor every week since then. And I was like, hey, who are all these people with these belts in Ring of Honor that I never see on my programming? The only one I know of is Athena. Like, I know the Kingdom because I watch what the Kingdom does. So I know what they are because they're local boys who I adore. But, like, the Bang Bang Gang, I had no idea that they were the 6-man tag team champions.
Bang Bang Scissor Gang.
Well, no, it's just the Bang Bang Gang because there's no scissors involved in the 6-man.
I know. No, I don't want them scissors involved either way.
But they're apparently the Ring of Honor 6-man tag team champions. Poor Ring of Honor fans having to watch Sleepy Jay White.
My
put them all to sleep every week.
My amazing Eddie Kingston is the Ring of Honor World Champion that we don't see on Ring of Honor.
I was gonna say that I've never seen on Ring of Honor programming since I started
I
watching.
love you, Eddie, but that's tough.
I'm taking a bit of a shot here. Like even when Roman's gone, they talk about Roman on a weekly basis. I feel like I've not heard the name Eddie Kingston on Ring of Honor in like 3 weeks.
No.
Like they don't talk about him. There's nothing going on for those 6-man tag titles in Ring of Honor right now. Nothing.
No.
Maybe. Yes. See, I finally have somebody who agrees with me.
No, Millie, don't say that.
Yes, I have a friend in this.
Hey, I prefer Jay White 1,000 times over than Caster.
Well, yes, but Max Caster is a disgraceful human being.
Exactly. So let's keep it with Jay White instead.
No,
Case
we
closed.
don't. Just because somebody else is terrible doesn't make somebody else better.
He is better.
Just because Vince McMahon is this doesn't make Matt Riddle a better person. Matt Riddle's still trash.
Matt Riddle's a different story. Let's not put him in this conversation. No, Millie. No, Millie, don't do this to me.
Kyle gave us that on Thursday. Acena's last title defense on Ring of Honor was 3 weeks ago. Prior to that, it was January 18th. Yeah. I wouldn't know that Yuta. That's the name. I was going to call him Yuta. Yuta is the ROH Pure Champion. I wouldn't know that he was the ROH Pure Champion if I hadn't actually had to review the show the last time I think they had a pure match.
I was going to say, he's worse because he hasn't been on TV at all, because at least Eddie, you see him in AEW. Mike and Matt, you see them in AEW, but Yuta, I haven't seen whatsoever in Ring of Honor or AEW, so that's even worse than the rest of them. But we got to send Kyle this clip. Be like, watch it after this one. We mentioned Ring of Honor.
It drives me insane that he's one of the best wrestlers ever, but when the crowd wants Jay White to shut up. I agree. No. I think Jay White is a fantastic... Look at this. It's like Millie Rose and I are sharing one brain right now.
Millie, why?
He is a fantastic wrestler. He's really, really good. But then he gets a microphone and he's a charisma vacuum. He's like Von Wagner.
He's great, and the accent makes it even better. Come on.
No. Astrid, tell us all the good things you have coming up this week where we can find you.
I'm trying to think in my mind what day it is, because I haven't had any sleep.
Monday.
You no, really? Oh gosh, no. I like the comment makes me laugh, and I won't forget about it. But no, you can find me again tomorrow on Taking Over as we talk about NXT after NXT happens. Oh, like today, like that's what the calendar said. Sorry, Bobby. I won't forget about that. Even Bobby. Oh gosh. No. Either way, I'm gonna look for a new co-host after this, because we cannot be on these terms right now.
I'll get Millie Rose to co-host with me. It'll be great. We can just badge Jay White for an hour and a half every night. It's great.
What the? Either way, you can find my Seda Steel interview on Body Sam's channel. I have another 2 hopefully coming up soon as well after that, that I'll be recording soon and releasing on their channels as well. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter and Blue Skies, Astrid Pizarro, Threads and Instagram, Astrid Pizarro 20. And then either way, the episodes are going to be on my channel in a couple of days. So just so you know, you can still subscribe to the channel, which is Astrid Pizarro. No.
Do you have Ladies Wrestling Showcase on Friday? Yes, no, maybe?
If Mel and I are both alive on Friday, sure.
You can find me on Twitter at EdFries125. You can find me on the Twitch at twitch.tv/EdFries2002, where I simulcast almost all of our local establishment stuff that I do on there. I didn't do it tonight because we were trying out the Twitter thing. The Twitter thing definitely worked. We've been over about 20 people. Thank you all on Twitter for watching. We greatly appreciate it. I've been streaming a lot of gaming content on my own personal Twitch, as I now have access to W2K24 for about a week now. So definitely go ahead and check out some of that gaming content. I'm going to have more gaming content coming out. I have finished Showcase mode after it crashed on me and I had to go back to the beginning and watch from the beginning and redo it from the beginning. Yes, 27 viewers on Twitter all night long has been fantastic. You can go ahead and check that stuff out. Tomorrow night, like Asher said, me and her will be covering NXT. Wednesday night, I'm doing 3 nights in a row here on our local establishment. I'm going to be going ahead and doing Marvel Talk with my friend Andre C., my other tag team partner, as we go ahead and do the MCU rebound for Captain America, the First Avenger. Yes, we're talking Captain America 1 as we finally get closer and closer to talking about the first Avengers movie. And we even have a special guest lined up now for Captain America, the Winter Soldier, when that comes up in a few episodes. So I'm very excited for that.
And we got to specify, this is after Dynamite if you watch AEW. Maybe Mel and I might go live. I don't know if we'll do it on my stuff. Because if Mercedes does show up, we want to react to it. So we might go live just to at least for the women's match. So we'll see. It won't be for too long.
You should go live during the show.
Yeah, that's what we hope to do.
Yeah,
if it happens.
There you go. Are you both going to actually be watching? See, the funny thing is, I could be live at Big Business, but I chose not to spend $40 on a ticket to Big Business. And no, because I'm saving my money, and I'm going to go ahead and watch real talent.
Where's my thumbs down? Not working.
Take that, Apple.
Damn it.
No. I have no desire. I had one bad experience with Sasha Banks in person in Barica, and I've never really forgiven her for it. I think she's a talent. I think she's a fantastically talented wrestler who's vastly overrated. But
it's Boss Town.
It's certainly not Boss Town. On Friday night, I am seeing aforementioned Shannon Lavangi in tables, ladders, chairs, and doors match at Cold Fury. As she takes on the American, I call him the American Dragon, Jake Long, Che Long, the New England champion. We're going to go ahead and see that. Our friend JT Dunn is taking on Danny Miles to find out who is the world champion, as they both pinned the world champion Aaron Rourke last time out. So we got to figure out which one of them is the world champion. Paris Van Dale is taking on in the Pan-Optic Championship, taking on Gabby Forza, the Nomi. So very excited to see that. And of course, for our good friend, video bro, Bobby Munson. Bobby, I get to see him for a third time. Richard Holiday's back again. Richard Holiday versus Mortar in a grudge match this week at Chaotic Wrestling. So if you haven't, please go check out Chaotic Wrestling. They are on Twitch at Chaotic Wrestling. Go ahead and check it. The live shows air for free if you watch it live. Yeah. And you'll be able to see me right at the entranceway. You'll be able to see me waving as I go ahead and watch. Boo Most Marketable. Boo Most Marketable. Bad Boo Marketable. He's a bad guy. We boo him. He beat up Mortar for no reason. But for myself, Astrid Pizarro, yes. For myself, OLED, for Astrid Pizarro, this has been Talking Takeover.
That's like identity.
Two opinions I will not be sharing with Astrid. Noted.
No.
Have a good time. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Never gonna look back, 'cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast, and that's facts. Only I can make a change.